Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview. And as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a 6'2" center that is trading in the royal blue from the New Orleans Privateers to some nice red and blue uniforms in the Big 12 with the Arizona Wildcats, second team All-Southland selection this past season. Nora Francois. What's going on, Nora?
Hey everybody, I'm doing well. I hope everyone is.
Hey, absolutely. Definitely excited to have you on. I'm sure fans and viewers are going to be excited to watch this interview, especially after the past season that you had absolutely dominated the floor against anybody that you went against. And I want fans, viewers to know a little bit about your history, your playing career, especially this past season alone and why it was so important for you in a quick segment that I like to call Rewind and Recap. Just going to rewind the clock. Obviously, been with New Orleans Privateers for the past 3 years of your career after a year at the junior college level. And this past year, absolutely dominated. Top five in the Southland Conference in scoring and rebounding, earning yourself that second team All Southland selection, like I mentioned. And after the season, went into the portal, betted on yourself, and it paid off because you're going to the Big 12 with the Arizona Wildcats. So, absolutely incredible what you've been able to do. And your first 2 years with the Privateers, you were, developing your game, showing what you could do. Your first year there, you were coming off the bench as a role player. Second year there, actually had a coaching change, and you were the second leading scorer, about 10 points per game, helping your team however you could. And then this past season obviously took such a huge jump. But I want to ask you, going into this season, what would you say your expectations were for yourself? Obviously, you know the work that you put in the off season, but what would you say was the role that you were expecting, and what was the reality that came this past season?
Yeah, so absolutely. After wrapping up last season, over the summer, I sat down with one of my coaches and I set some goals. One of them being I wanted to make an all-conference team. I wanted three Player of the Week shout outs. I wanted to average a double double. I didn't quite get there, but just kind of knowing and having Coach White, Coach Brittany White, being able to like really reiterate to myself, like, hey, I am part of the top of the Southland Conference.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the numbers spoke for themselves. And New Orleans overall throughout your career, the seasons didn't go obviously the way that you wanted them to. Obviously, some rough years here and there. Had to go through that whole coaching change, like I mentioned. But we're still able to develop into the player where you are now to where you are able to go play at the Power Five level, compete with the best of the best. So obviously there was good things that came out of this tenure with the Privateers. What would you say were some of the biggest lessons that you learned with New Orleans where you were able to grow yourself as an athlete and as a person?
Absolutely. I learned more than anything to be resilient. Being a part of a losing program, it does a lot to you mentally, and being a part of a losing program for 3 years in a row can be um, very draining. But I found it within myself to keep fighting, keep improving, whether or not things were working my way on the court. I have a lot going for myself outside of basketball, and finding things that give me, daily enjoyment. I love being outside. I love City Park in New Orleans. I just have to find the little things that help me hold on.
Hey.
But like I think I did the math a couple days ago, and it was like I've won maybe 24 games here at UNO. I won maybe 21 at my junior college in one single season. So I'm definitely looking to go to Arizona and contribute to wins.
Oh, absolutely. I know the new head coach over there. Heard a lot about her from what she did at Buffalo and what she's looking to do at Arizona. And obviously, you're going to be a key contribution for her program. Because, like I mentioned, this past season, you were the number one scoring option for New Orleans with 15 points per game. Also added on 8 rebounds per game, nearly 2 steals, and a block and a half. Had some crazy numbers against some incredible teams. But the one game that I want to shout out real quick. Got to mention the triple double: 19 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists to go with 5 steals and 3 blocks. I can't even get those numbers in 2K. You did it in real life. So just absolutely astonishing how you were able to really produce for this New Orleans team. This past season, just obviously you dominated left and right. You helped your teammates out around you. Talk to me real quick about your impact on the floor and how that helped your teammates around you, because obviously it was a rough season overall, but you guys were still able to come together and grab a few close wins and still
Mhm.
produce. So how would you say your impact helped out your teammates around you?
I think going into the season, the team definitely needed more leadership on the court. I tried my best to step into that role, be vocal, just kind of lead by example and show like you can try your hardest in practice, you can work your butt off, and then you can go to a game and you can take whatever shot you want because you know you've hustled for it, you know you've put in the work. Just kind of being that depiction of what a hustle player could be, who also has some skill, some talent. I think throughout the season, it definitely started off very rocky. It was hard to adjust to double teams, but like towards the end of the season, it got easier to play out of double teams. Just finding my teammates who were finally cutting to the basket and getting themselves open. That's honestly how we were able to grab those close wins towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and you put up some big time numbers, like I mentioned, and obviously it had a whole lot of highlight plays to go along with the numbers you put up. And I want to talk about some of them specifically in a quick segment that I like to call Make That Play. In this segment, I have my list right here of some of the top plays that I thought you had this past season, went through synergy, went through every single made basket, which took me a couple hours probably for you because I want to make sure I got the best of the best plays that you had. And I have my top three right here, but obviously I'm just a fan of the stands. I'm the guy looking at the analytics. You're the
Mhm.
one on the court doing what you do best. So what would you say was your top play from this past season?
Um, I will say my triple double, the last play, the last pass, I that went to Lex, my one of my closest friends on the team. That was probably the highlight of my career at New Orleans. Just nothing can even come close to like the feeling of like my teammates rallying and supporting me and quite literally making history.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember March Madness women's basketball, their Instagram page even posted that, hyping you up. So obviously
Mhm.
incredible what you were able to do because triple doubles are hard to get, and you managed to do that. Uh, I have three scoring plays that I thought were very talented by you. And I'm going to start off with one because against number 24 Alabama, because you mentioned the double teams that you had to go against. You ended up going against a couple double teams in that Alabama game, going against a top 25 opponent, caught the ball on the block, and you maintained that pivot foot perfectly. Spun a couple of times to get the defender off you. They went flying. Next thing you know, you're going up for a layup through double team that came in. Both help defenders came in, and you still managed to make that. So that just showed the patience, the IQ that you had as this veteran presence. Number two, going against Stephen F. Austin, ended up forcing a turnover on your own baseline. We're right there, used your size to grab the ball away from them, drove the baseline, and quickly scored a layup. And they fouled you, so you got the and one call there as well. So that right there was awesome. And number three, going against Baylor, you scored, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I counted, scored the first 13 points of that game for New Orleans against a Big 12 opponent. You hit multiple threes, had some great layups, even hit the mid range a little bit too. So just absolutely incredible what you're able to do throughout this season. Really showed off a versatile set of skills that you had this past season to earn yourself the all conference honors and be highly recruited in the transfer portal. What skill set specifically do you feel like you improved the most this past season to where it really stood out to you like, okay, I have this in my bag now?
Mhm. So going into the summer, I knew like on defense, I get my hands on the ball quite a bit. I get a lot of deflections. So I wanted to keep up with my point guard and my wings in transition. So I made it my goal to pick up my agility, my mobility this summer. And I think that's um, transformed my game a lot, being able to rim run, getting more comfortable grabbing a board, securing it, and pushing it up the court. I think that'll kind of suit or that will fit well within the Arizona system.
Oh yeah, definitely can't wait to see what you do with the Wildcats for sure. And I know you mentioned that one year at the junior college level, you had 20 plus wins in that year. This past
Mhm.
season, unfortunately, 5 and 24 overall for the Privateers. Got all five of those wins in Southland Conference action, went 5 and 15 in conference play. And I mean, just rough numbers overall. Started off 0 and 15, but we're able to get a pair of wins against East Texas A&M on the season and won your final two games of the year versus McNeese and Rio Grande Valley. So you were able to find ways to, pull out these close wins here and there in conference play. And you mentioned your teammates, how you guys were all there for one another. How would you say you guys really maintain that mental stability to be able to go off and still compete at the highest level you could this past season?
So I'm not. At some point, it did into like us just coming together in the locker room before practices and before games. Like, hey, we don't have anything to lose. We have to want this on the same page as us in our corners, but like we're here and we want to show up. And I honestly think that's how we won our 4 games or 5 games this season is within the girls, just digging deep within themselves.
There you go. That's tremendous by all of you. And obviously now you're looking to take your talents, the high numbers that you put up this past season to the Big 12, get to join a great coaching staff, new head coach that came over from Buffalo after winning the WNIT. I got to interview one of her players, Chella Watson, 20 point per game scorer for Buffalo last season. She has nothing but great things to say about that head coach and the system that she runs. So talk to me real quick about what it was about Arizona that really stood out to you to where you wanted to join their program. Because I know you had a lot of programs reaching out to you. I know you went on a visit to UAB, I believe, as well as a couple of
Mhm.
other schools reaching out. So what about Arizona really stood out to you?
Well, for one, it being in the Big 12, I was kind of holding out. I had a lot of interest from the American Conference. About 75% of the American Conference had reached out, but I was kind of holding out for Power Four, Power Five school, and I got on the phone with the associate coach, Coach James, and he had tremendous energy. It was comfortable, conversation was natural. And then I got on the phone with Coach Burke, and one of the first things she said to me was she has a history of not rebuilding programs, but reloading programs. And I was like, Coach, I got to be in the clip. I I got to be a part of the team. So I actually committed without taking a visit. Of course, everyone's familiar with the campus. It's beautiful. Everyone's familiar with Arizona, also very beautiful. But if anything, I'm a very adaptable person. So I know I'm going to be able to make my own home in Arizona.
I definitely can't wait to see what you do. And you already have experience really putting up numbers against these Power Five teams. I mean, against Alabama, you had double figures against them. Going against Baylor, I mentioned you had the first 13 points in that game. You had 26 with four made threes against the Bears. That's a team that you're going to be seeing in conference action. And then Texas Tech as well, 10 points, 17 rebounds against the Red Raiders in that game. So you know how to put up numbers against these high level caliber teams. So how do you feel like your history already going against these Power Four, top 25 ranked teams, how you're able to produce against them already is going to help you out with that transition going into Big 12 play next season?
I think I mean, schools are going to do their best to, create a report on me. Uh, probably gonna I'm gonna be the underdog and use that to my advantage. I will say, um, I've been underestimated. I expect to be underestimated, and I've done a really good job of kind of using that to my own advantage. So that's also what I plan on doing next year.
Absolutely. Definitely can't wait to see you turn that all Southland Conference selection to an all Big 12 selection next season. And you're somebody that obviously people need to know your name more of, especially going into next season because of what you've been able to do this past season. alone. That's why I wanted to get you on so badly. I had Jamon Vincent reach out for me and help us get on this podcast together so I could promote your name as much as I could. And, he was able to give me some great names in this segment, you being one of them, in a segment that I like to call Who's Up Next. In this segment, you can actually give me some names that I can reach out to have on the podcast as well. Some people that, their name should be known more of by fans that people may not know enough already. Two rules, though, first of which, whoever you recommend, got to help me get them on, got to help me reach out. Number two, you got to give me at least one name of somebody that wasn't a teammate this past season at New Orleans.
Um, I can't really think of anyone. I can think of teammates from this past season, but other than that, no, I can't
Oh,
really
you can
give
give
you
me
any.
some teammates too. That's totally fine as well.
I think next year Jayla Kimbrough is going to be crazy, crazy dangerous in the Southland Conference. And it's not confirmed, but my former point guard from this year will also be staying in the conference at a different school, and I would keep an eye out for her as well.
All right, there we go. Definitely going to be taking a look at them for sure. I know the Southland Conference has some great players. I had Charlotte O'Keefe from Rio Grande Valley on earlier this season. She actually said that guarding you was one of her toughest assignments this past season. So obviously speaks to the high caliber player that you are, that you're getting noticed by your opponents as this Power Five level player. And now that was a great segment for Who's Up Next. Now got to talk about what's next for yourself. Obviously going to Arizona into the Big 12. How are you really attacking this off season to improve your game even more to be ready for this Power Five level play?
Yep. So I actually got kicked out of the gym pretty quick upon entering the transfer portal. So a lot of my work has been in the weight room, just kind of uh, bulking up, putting on a little bit more muscle, and then I run about 6 or 7 miles every week. Just kind of keeping up my endurance as well. I play pickup a couple times with some local girls from Tulane, Xavier, Loyola, and my and UNO, just staying on the court and whatnot. But I am excited to get in the facilities at Arizona. I'll be there over the summer. I plan on utilizing everything, every resource.
Definitely excited to see what you do next season. And if it's anything like this past year, Arizona is going to be a tough team to stop going into Big 12 action next year. So incredibly happy to have you on. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me, Nora Francois. And I cannot wait, not just for you in the Big 12, but one day I'm going to have a WNBA jersey with your name on it here soon. So keep doing your thing. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this interview.
Thank you. Take care.